We got this pot, 3 gallons of water that I already filled. I have a bucket of sanitizer mixed close to about 5 gallons. I have all my stuff in it. The sanitizer is great because even the soap suds kill up to 99% of the bacteria, along with the solution itself. I got 2 gallons of water, filtered water, because we're going to add those into this glass carboy after I brew, and that's just to get it to the 5 gallon mark. And as you can see, I got sanitizer in it sitting in there. I'm going to swish it around often to make sure it's as clean as possible. And you know, I try to keep an area that is clean and leave my thermometer out. At this point, you don't really need to be super clean, because we are going to boil this water up to 100 degrees Celsius. It's going to kill all the bacteria. But once this water temperature reaches 160, we are going to steep your grain. Okay, when you got the temperature just about to 160, so at this point, we're going to take our big bag. We're going to take our specialty grains. We're going to dump all of them in this bag. We're going to take this bag, tie it in a knot. And we're going to just simply put it in here. A lot of times I like to take this and tie a knot around here so that it doesn't sit on the bottom, because if it sits on the bottom, it can scorch the specialty grains and then leaving nasty gunk at the bottom of the pan, which will be more difficult to clean later. So sometimes this is not very easy. Leave yourself plenty of slack. Make sure they sit in there. Turn the temperature down so it doesn't increase. I turn mine all the way down to low so the temperature won't get above 170. If it goes above 170, it'll produce bad flavors. You can read up more on it for exactly how it does it on a book I posted on my blog. So we're going to set a timer for 15 minutes. This is called steeping your grains. You want to make sure it's alright. At this point, we have a nice boil. We're going to go ahead and add our malt. You're going to want to make sure that you have some water set aside, and you're going to want to stir this quite frequently because it's going to foam up a lot. And then I would suggest also turning down the heat so that it doesn't continue to foam a whole lot. This is the part where it gets a little scary. This is where it starts to want to boil over. You're going to want to stir very rapidly and add water, reduce the foam, and you just have to keep doing this till it gets hot again. Proof the yeast. We got a packet of yeast, and then over here I have some of the wort that I pulled out of the pan during the boiling process, and I cooled it down. It's a little bit below 100 degrees, and so we're going to go ahead and pour this in here. I'm going to just use my thermometer that I dipped in some sanitizer to make sure it was clean. We don't want any bacteria to get into this at this point, since everything is sterilized. So this is the bottle filler. There's a little tube that your kit comes with that you're going to attach this to. you're going to open this valve all the way. This tube will fill up, and then at the bottom here there's this little black nozzle that when you take a bottle, you gotta pay attention to the phone. You take this bottle, you put it in, you depress the little black spring valve in there, and then you just hold it until you fill the bottle all the way up to the top. All the way to the top, and then once you release pressure, it'll stop flowing, you pull it out, and then the beer should be sitting around here. It'll give you the proper amount of air in each bottle every single time. And then, once you filled the bottle all the way up, simply put your cap on there, grab your capping device, place it on like so, and then press down. Sometimes they stick, and you just kind of twist it, and voila, you will have your bottle capped. And then once it's capped, here we have the wort cooling down in the bathtub. You can use a large sink. It's best to have ice. The point is to cool it down as quick as possible. That way there's less chance of any bacteria or any kind of contaminants to get into the wort. We want to get this down to 80 degrees or below in order to pitch the yeast. That's the optimal temperature. Now we have our cold pot, and it's been cooled down. It's around 90 degrees. It's not quite 80 yet, but that's okay because when we finally siphon this into this cold water, I put 2 gallons into here. So 3 gallons started here plus 2 should equal 5. So we'll go ahead and grab the siphon, which you can see I've kept in sanitized water the entire time. And I'll get it flowing. You want your pot to be above the fermenter so that the siphon will naturally flow. Just give it a squeeze. Okay, so now I have transferred my wort to my fermenter after the ice bath and got down to about 90 degrees, and then I put 2 gallons in here of water before I siphoned it to make the batch 5 gallons. So remember we started with 3 gallons, and then after that I siphoned a little bit out into here, which is my tube for my gravity reading and my hydrometer, and I will drop it in and I will read what measurement it is from the top of the wort to whatever it's touching on the hydrometer. And for this particular beer I ended up with a 1.70. You'll probably want to write that down, and then when you do your beer bottling, you will then take your final gravity measurement, and it should be lower. This should sink down a little more, and then the difference between will give you your alcohol percent by volume. You might have to go online to find a calculator, but it's not very hard. Google has one pretty much instantly. And then once everything's good to go, I will pitch the yeast. Oh, actually I'm going to aerate it. At this point, you will want to either pick this thing up and shake it, or do what I do and use pure oxygen in an aerator and have it bubble inside for 20 to 30 second bursts. 2 times is good enough, and that's it. And then you should be ready to pitch your yeast. Throw your airlock on top with the grommet, but I'll show you that once I'm done aerating and pitching the yeast. Here I am with my aerator. I'm just going to show you this real quick. Simple, easy. I've already done 1 burst. Just turn it on, let it bubble, fill that more up with oxygen, makes the yeast happy and build a really good trub. So I did it for about 40 seconds now. Pull this thing out, set it aside, and then here's my yeast. As you can see, proofing the yeast has gotten really happy. It's already starting to eat sugars and build its base, so now I just simply pour it on in. This one was a little chunkier than I would liked it to be. I'm gonna have to clean the top now. Usually I use a bigger. Oh, that's just worthless. Okay. So here's the end result. You can see I got the airlock on there with the rubber grommet. I pitched the yeast. You can see it's streaking down. That's fine.